Richard Skipper celebrates. Every show is a celebration. Richard Skipper celebrates the best in entertainment. Each show, Richard delivers the artists you love, showcasing what makes them unique. Never gossipy. The antidote to a sometimes hectic world. Now, here's your host, Richard Skipper.
Happy Wednesday, everyone, and welcome to the latest edition of Richard Skipper Celebrates. And boy, do we have a celebration today, because we are celebrating the one and only Lesley Ann Warren. And I'd like to thank my dear, dear friend, Sue Mitsuki and Sue Mitsuki Productions for bringing this show to you today. I have been celebrating Lesley Ann Warren my entire life. For those yearly productions of Cinderella that our family came together every year to watch Cinderella on CBS. So when I think of Cinderella, I think of Lesley Ann Warren. And when I think of Lesley Ann Warren, I think of family. So she has a very special place in my heart. When last year at this time, well, about a year and a half ago, I started to do a podcast. And Lesley Ann Warren was my very first guest. You see, my favorite time of year is going to see Broadway backwards. It's an evening where the Broadway community comes together and they do Broadway show tunes backwards. And I read that Lesley Ann Warren was coming back to Broadway to be part of that show. So I reached out to Lesley and I asked her if she would be part of the show. And she said yes. She was my very first guest on what has evolved into this. And this is not the first time that I interviewed her. I got the chance to interview her when Shout, with my dear friend Douglas Dinoff, brought Cinderella in a restored package back to audiences a few years ago. There's a reason why so many people think of Cinderella and Lesley Ann Warren as our Cinderella. So today we're going to celebrate her life, her career, and her body of worth. So ladies and gentlemen, sit back and celebrate our Cinderella.
Ladies and gentlemen, Lesley Ann Warren.
I'm horny. Ah!
I'm a girl, men go mad for love's a game I can play with a cool and confident kind of air. Just as long as I stay in my own little corner, all alone in my own little chair.
And here she is, Lesley Ann Warren. It's so good to see you again. How are you?
Thank you. It's great to see you too. I'm fine, and I feel blessed to be fine.
Well, I want to ask you, how are you really? The last time that you and I really sat down to talk, you were planning on coming to New York to do Broadway backwards. And then just a few days later, you reached out to me and you said, Richard, I don't feel comfortable coming to New York. And I said, well, I don't think you should come to New York. And of course, that was a wise decision because all of New York City shut down the next day. So how has COVID affected your life over the last year and a half, beyond the obvious things that we've all gone through?
Well, it's been shocking and devastating, and thank God nobody in my personal life, my intimate personal life, has been affected in that way by it. But you know, every new restriction and limitation was a shock, and you know, a kind of despairing of what we all know and love, and just being with other people, you know, performing, going and seeing performances, you know, eating in a restaurant. I mean, all of it. It has been, you know, it's a challenge that I know for me and for so many other people, I've never in my lifetime expected to have to confront something like this. So it's you know, deeply sobering. And having said that, in my own little corner, I try to make my life each day, you know, as joyous and full of gratitude as I can, because really, honestly, that's all there is.
Now, I think as I look back over the last year and a half and the time that we're still living in, I think of this as a pause. I think of it as a time for us to pause and think about the things that we have in our lives, the things that we no longer want in our lives, the things that we don't do want in our lives. Are there things that you have come to realize, that's okay, that we really want in our lives, that you want in your lives, like friends, family, performing? You, I'm sure, realize how important the arts are to you. What did your calendar look like beyond coming to New York to do Broadway Backwards last year when everything shut down?
You know, honestly, for the last, maybe, I don't even know how long, but I've always been very, very aware of what is important to me. And family, home, loving relationships with my friends. I mean, honestly, I've always known that was the most important thing to me. I have an incredible marriage and a wonderful, beautiful son and his wife. My health has always been something that I prioritized. I've been doing Chinese medicine and homeopathy for over 40 years. And I take good care of myself. And, you know, so those things didn't change and weren't really revelations to me during this time. I've always been a voracious reader. I love to read. One of my fondest memories is when I was brought up in New York in Manhattan, and when I was old enough to walk to the public library, it was such an incredible joy for me to come home carrying all these books and knowing I was going to go into somebody else's life. It was just, it was my favorite thing to do, and it still is. I love to read. I love to go to the bookstore. I love to come home with a bag of books. You know? So none of those things were new ideas for me. And I think in terms of performing, I have acted during COVID. I did a movie and I did a television show and I did a serialized scripted podcast with Demi Moore. And, you know, I've done things. What I think has gotten more specific for me is that I truly don't want to do anything that doesn't resonate with me in some way. I've always felt that way, but I've detoured from that at times and, you know, made other choices. And now time feels so incredibly precious, and the realities of going to work are so difficult and extreme. And so it's got to be something that I feel excited by for whatever reason, you know. So the road has gotten more narrow.
Now, I mean, you've been in this business your entire life. I want to know, where did that spark originally come from for you? I know that your mom was a singer. So when did you first say, I want to be up there? That's what I want to do with my life.
Well, I started out in dance. I started out as a ballet dancer, and I was very, very serious about being a ballet dancer. And I started at 6 and studied with a very strict teacher from the Royal Ballet. And I used to, my mom and dad used to take me to the theater. I started going to plays, to shows when I was 3.5. And I remember when I saw The King and I was probably 3.5 or 4. And we lived in an apartment building on Central Park West. And one of our neighbors was a tap dance brother duo or something called the Moscone Brothers. And I came home and he was visiting, and he came over and he said, show me what you learned watching The King and I. And I started doing this in my living room. And he said, turned to my mother and he said, you need to get her dance lessons, because I was already so. And so I started ballet, and I remember being around 9 because we would always go to the ballet. I just had this fantasy that I would be sitting in the audience, and some stage manager would come out and say, ladies and gentlemen, the prima ballerina has an injury and she cannot go on. Is there anyone in the audience that can go on? And I would raise my hand. And that was my ongoing daydream. So I think it was in me from the time I was very tiny. And the great news is that my parents completely supported me. When I was around 14, I had a girlfriend named Leda Edmonds who was in Bye Bye Birdie on Broadway. And she was my girlfriend. And so she would say, come hang out, come backstage. And I did. I would go backstage and I would watch the show, backstage. And I started to feel like, I can do that. I want to do that, And I started to, veer slowly away from ballet. I started taking jazz lessons. I started taking singing lessons. I asked for acting lessons. And my very first audition was for the National Company of Bye Bye Birdie, which I snuck out to. Did not tell my parents I was doing it. And I even gave myself an assumed name. I made up a name. Robbins was the last name because of Joan Robbins, and Lisa was the first name because of this ballerina that was in this class, in this professional class. And when they called my name, I forgot that I had given myself that name. So they had to call it 3 or 4 times, and then I finally went, oh my God, that's my name, that's me. And I ran out, and it was for Gower Champion and Marge and Gower, and there were 12 of us, like it is in the movies. There were 12 of us on stage, and they kept whittling it down, and then I got it. And I went home and told my parents, and they said, no, we cannot leave until
Wow.
you finish school. Yeah. And I was hysterical and thought my career was over. And ultimately, I was really glad that they insisted on me finishing high school.
Well, eventually you did make it to Broadway. You made it to television with Cinderella. I'm going to jump around a little bit.
Okay.
Because I was thinking, a lot of people, when they refer to you, they do say, she's my Cinderella. And I don't think they refer to Julie Andrews as my Cinderella or Brandy as my Cinderella. And I have a theory about that. I think it's because you appeared in our homes every year consecutively for 8 years. And I think we grew up watching you year after year. But you and Julie Andrews do have something in common. Walt Disney came a calling for both of you, and you both made your movie debuts in Disney films. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about your first leading man in a Disney film.
Do you mean John Davidson?
I mean John Davidson.
Well, he was an angel. I mean, he was just... Oh! There you are.
What? I'm just listening. I want to hear the story.
What to say about you?
What? Yeah, I want to hear what you're going to say. Keep going.
Okay, I will. He was incredibly handsome, still is. And he was, I think we met in New York. Didn't we meet in New York prior to? I felt like we did, but anyway, he was sweet and charming and funny and fun, and we were, as I remember it, he was incredibly generous, with me and I with him. We were very matched and seemed to just immediately have an easy repartee and camaraderie. We just sort of, so it was very easy to play love interests, and we were so great together, weren't we?
Absolutely, you were great together.
Come on, John.
I was not relaxed with you. I was very intimidated because I had seen you go, the little red hat, the little red hat in 110 in the Shade.
Right.
And you danced and you were a wonderful actor and singer, and you just were so way beyond where I was, and I thought, oh my goodness, did you do a screen test for Happiest Millionaire as I did, and who was your screen test?
Oh yeah, I mean, they brought me out to LA and I did 2 weeks of rehearsing. Yeah, they put me in a hotel and I did learn some of the choreography. I had to learn some of the songs and then be fitted in some of the period costumes, and we did a full-on old-fashioned giant screen test. Yeah. Is that what they did with you?
No, I just came out and for one day. Stephanie Powers. It can't be Stephanie Powers, but I can't remember who the girl was. But she was fairly known, and they didn't accept her, and they accepted me, and so I just felt really lucky. But our first thing was, by the way, the reason why I'm standing in front of this wall, which has pictures of myself behind it, I'm standing in front of a poster.
Oh, I see it.
You see it? This is our second one. This is Family Band. By the way, this is at my club. I'm not trying to plug my club. I'm just saying that it's not a wall. I don't have this at my home. It's like Howard Hughes.
Though. I love it. It's great.
No, it's just a wall that I put all my stuff on because it's called Club Sandwich in Sandwich, New Hampshire, and I put all the stuff that I've done. So that's the poster from Family Band. Look how big we are. You would think that we were the hottest things in show business. Now at the bottom of this poster is Buddy Ebsen and Walter Brennan. Wow. Hello. And then let me show you the other picture. Wait, how can I get around this? Wow. That's that. Back here. Over here is, let me see. How can I do this? It's Happiest Millionaire if I can find it. Why is my head so big? And maybe it's from being in show business. I don't know. Here. Okay, can you see us there? See that poster?
Yes, I see it.
Okay. Now it's a cartoon, but here it is, the Happiest Millionaire. Yeah. So it's Lesley Ann and John, huge. At the bottom of the poster is, is Fred MacMurray, Greer Garson, Geraldine Page. I mean, mega people. Mega. And here's Lesley Ann and John. We were introduced. It was both of our first film. Yeah. And so,
wasn't this the last film that Walt Disney oversaw?
Yes, he passed away before the second one. That we did.
So we were there in the transition for Happiest Millionaire. He would come down to the set, and I'm sure he called you Lesley Ann. He called me John, and he said, hey, "Call me Walt." So we said, "Hi, Walt. How's it going, Walt?" Oh my God. Speaking of huge people, and then for the second film, The Family Band, he had died in between. So we did the last one that he worked on, and which was trying to be Mary Poppins, right? And trying to have the success of Mary Poppins. Mm-hmm. And then in Family Band, everybody's walking around saying, well, what would Walt have done? What
Yeah.
would Walt do? Which is no way to run a studio, right? Finally, they realized that, you know, and but it was such a thrill just to be there on the Disney lot. So.
I loved it. It was one of my favorite memories of my life. I mean, being on that lot.
But here I was dancing with Lesley Ann Warren, who is just, I mean, she was perfect, okay? She just went, and she had such poise and, you know, and I'm stepping on her feet, literally stepping on her feet. And she was holding me up, and she made us both look the best. Where am I? She made us both look better, and it was such a thrill.
Well, John, can you stick around for a few minutes? We've put together a few clips of, Lesley, the beginnings of your career from Cinderella. We're going to show not only the musical moments of your career, but some of the dramatic moments of your career also. Chuck, if you could bring those up, you can both stay on screen and we can get your reactions to that. So this is the beginnings of a career. And if we can bring the volume up a little bit.
Buddy, let me go.
I can't.
Why?
Dr. Kildare, can you deliver my baby for me?
I didn't raise you for any dirt scratching sodbuster.
What did you raise me for, Pa? Haven't you ever asked yourself that? Oh, let me go! Let me! I'm gonna die! I'm gonna die!
Rudy, I know. I know you're gonna die, but not today. Not tomorrow.
When I tell you all God's children got rhythm, all God's children got sway.
If a girl wants to be popular nowadays, there's one thing that she absolutely needs to know.
What?
Ba-yum pum pum, ba-yum pum pum, ba-yum pum.
You, but me, but us, but we, but your love and mine.
They danced in the streets made of cobble and gold, and they wore clothes of brocade from merchants of old, and they danced, yes they danced, oh how they danced, and mystical dogs of
Perfect.
Oh, I knew you'd love them. Sang of a chant from a land oh so placid. They danced, yes they danced.
Are you out of your mind?
Oh, how they
Don't you see, Russ? He knows where we are now.
Look, you don't have to worry about me. It's just a couple 100 miles.
You're a tiger.
Nothing that a little pace scrubbing, fresh air, single bed sleeping wouldn't fix.
Look closer. I think that we could make it. Oh, I know he's no Superman. And yet, I never wanted a simple guy like Clark.
That corny love is what I've always wanted. Tree, yeah,
I know it's hard, but believe me, it's the right thing to do.
Right for home. You know what you're asking me? You're asking me to come in there and...
Tell the truth. You're the only one who can.
2 months pregnant. Oh, I wanted you to think it was yours.
I'll marry you anyway.
Oh, for God's sake, will you stop being so nice? Get angry! Can't you get angry at me? Hit me!
We've played this scene before.
Yeah, well, I've got a new ending. You're gonna be sorry you started all this.
It gets to some girls.
It won't get to me.
Want to have a drink first?
Whatever you want. You're the boss.
And that's just 65 to 77. A long way from Cinderella.
Good Lord.
It's the eyes. It's the eyes.
It's the eyes.
Oh my God. And of course, what's behind the eyes make the eyes work. But looking into those eyes, Lesley Ann,
It's really weird to see all of that.
No, but I want to say, I mean, you studied at the Actors Studio. And when I want to shout out again to Chuck Pennington, who put these together.
Yes.
Phenomenal job that he does putting these together. But he also put a list of the actors that you've worked with and the actors who have worked with you. You've worked with the most incredible actors in the business, and they elevate you. You elevate them. Thank you. Bravo. You know.
Oh, I've been so incredibly lucky. I mean, really, and to work with some of the directors that I've worked with, and the choreographers that I've worked with. It's just been, it's just been an incredible blessing. Like that crazy career of mine. I mean, I really, really, and what strikes me is how. And it's really true, but how hard I've worked my whole life. Like, I've worked so hard in every single project that I did. It was so important to me to put my whole, invest my whole craft and artistry and, talent that I was blessed with, and really work hard. I worked hard. I still do. It's crazy.
Well, it shows. And my question that I want to ask is, looking over a career, looking back on a career, how much of the career did you actually map out, if you will, and how much of it is based on projects that come your way? How many of those projects do you actually seek out, meeting the right people at the right time in your career? And have there been projects that have gotten away, that the timing was not at the right time? The choices that one makes in a career.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I never had a plan other than, to do the very best work that I could do. I was always very, very interested in who's directing. I always ask that. That's my first question always. Obviously in television, you don't get to have that say, or even, it doesn't even matter if you do. The director is basically in television trying to get the job done, so it's up to you to come in fully prepared. Because a lot of times the director just doesn't have the time to map anything out with you. But as far as the long-term goals, I never had any. The only thing I would say that I was consistent with was that I didn't want to recreate what I had done before. So, in other words, I wasn't interested in, people wanting to cast me in a blonde showgirl type of, that kind of, I just didn't want to. I went from Victor Victoria to a tiny independent movie called Choose Me, which couldn't have been more antithetical in their tone and character and because that was the reason I became an actress. You know, that's
Mhm.
why I wanted to act, was to create different women, different characters, and illuminate, you know, as best I could, their story and what was the trajectory of their stories. So I didn't have an interest in creating a persona. I had an interest and a deep passion for creating the truth about a character and what that meant, whether it was crazy comedy like on Will and Grace, or, you know, something that you might have, you know, chosen from what we just saw, you know, very emotional.
Well, let's talk for a moment about Victor Victoria. Of course, you are nominated for an Academy Award for this. When you originally received the script for that, the character that was in the script, if you will, was not the script, was not the character that you ended up playing in the film. If you could elaborate a little bit about that.
Yes, I mean, I had gone to meet Blake. I was actually out doing marketing, and my hair was in braids, and I had a, you know, kind of a jumpsuit on because it was the 80s. And my agent called me and said, you need to go over right now and meet Blake Edwards. And I said, but I can't, I don't look, you know, blah, blah. And he said, no, you have to meet him right now because he's leaving for London tomorrow. So I went over there, and we had this great talk. I mean, we just laughed and talked about Julie and I and similarities and Cinderella and, you know, all of the things that you brought up. And at the end of it, we really didn't talk about the script. He said, do you want to do this movie with me? And I said, because I had seen Breakfast at Tiffany's probably 11 times, and Pink Panthers, and Days of Wine and Roses, I thought he was a genius. And I said, I will do anything you ask me to do. Yes, you know. So I went home and I read the script, and the script was, in the script, she was a kind of a generic chorus girl. And I started to have these ideas about her. And, you know, I called the next day to talk to him and run the ideas by him. And he was already gone. He was in London. And so his producer, Tony Adams, said, tell me and I'll tell Blake. So I said, well, you know, I thought it would be fun to do her blonde, to have her be blonde, and to have her be the kind of girl that at that time that sat in Woolworths, which the 5 and dime, and would go through movie magazines and go, I want to look like that. You know, like she could see Jean Harlow's heart-shaped mole and go, I want to look like that. You know, I thought she would be that kind of girl. And then I thought, what if she lived in a family of like 14 and she had to, you know, yell and be assertive to be heard, and came from the Lower East Side. So I had all these ideas about it, and he signed off on every one of them. And he literally sent his hair and makeup wig maker person to my house, and he sent Patty Norris, who was doing the costumes at the time, to my house, and we kind of created this character in my bedroom. Like, well, what about this? Well, what about? And I worked with my coach on it, Narena. Her name is Narena, and we developed this whole history for her. And so when I arrived in London, because we shot in London for 3.5 months, and we had to do a big screen test of the characters, and I thought, okay, he's either going to fire me because he's never seen what I created, you know, or he will like it. And of course, you know, he really liked it. And as a matter of fact, there was no musical number in the script. And we were sitting in dailies one day because he used to have everybody come to dailies, including the painters and the grips and, you know, the gaffers, and because he liked to see where the real laughs were. So he had showed dailies on a big, huge screen. And he leaned over to me at one point and he said, do you still sing? And I said, yes, I do. And he said, do you still dance? And I said, I do. And he said, I want to see more of Norma, my character. And so he sent Henry Mancini and Leslie Brickus over to England. You know, how could that get better? They wrote this unbelievable piece of music. Patty Stone was doing choreography, and we started rehearsing. We rehearsed for about 2.5, 3 weeks, and then Blake came and looked at it, and, you know, fell in love with it. And so that's kind of how that came to be.
And from that moment on, you put the chic in Chicago.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
I go back to 110 in the Shade. It was where I first saw you. But why did you never play Lizzie? You would have made an incredible Lizzie. Did you ever want to do that?
I did want to, and I actually approached Tom Jones and Harvey Schmidt.
Yeah.
Probably about 10 years ago. We talked about it, and I don't think they were into it, but different things happened. I got some jobs or whatever, and we kind of let it go. But I'm not sure I have the vocal, abilities to play Lizzie. I mean, that song that she does at the end of, I think it's Act 1, is hugely rangy and
Old Maid or something like that?
Old Maid. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I've never tried, but I would kill to play Lizzie, but I'm not sure I can. I'm not sure I can actually do that. And so what was really great is that after many, many, many years, when Harvey Schmidt passed away, I got a letter from his assistant. And it was a letter that Inga, who played Lizzie on Broadway, had sent to Harvey, and about her memories while he was still alive, about her memories of 110. And one of the things she said was that when we were on the road together pre-Broadway, and I was only 17, I had just turned 17, and she said, did you know that little Lesley called me on the phone one night at midnight and said, I can't sleep, can I come up and sleep with you in your bed? And she said you came up and cuddled, and we went to sleep. Well, that I hadn't talked to her in probably, I don't even know, 45 years, something like that. So I called her. I found her and I called her, and I went and visited her, and it was so meaningful to me. Because I used to stand in the wings when she did Old Maid every night, and I was aghast and just would cry. She was so brilliant.
Wow.
Lesley Ann, what do you have to say about the roles that so many women are? The roles for women are just. It's so often the leading man is the interesting thing, and here's a wife or a support system to the guy that is so thin that how do they ever find the stuff? I mean, you would find it, you would demand to find it, but what do you have to say about the roles that are? Now maybe that's changed. You think it's changed over the years?
I think it's changed. Yes, yeah. I think it's changing. I think there's I think there is much more opportunity for faceted, complex women who are not simply supporting the man. And I think that there are so many great and excellent actors, women, who, embody those roles and who have sort of forcefully changed that. But I mean, there's always so much less for women than there is.
I know a secret that I don't know whether that you want to reveal on this show.
It's just the three of us here.
No, right. It involves probably my closest friend here in New Hampshire. His name is Ernest.
Oh, yeah.
Say anymore. I'm not going to say anymore because maybe you don't want to reveal this yet.
I don't think I have no idea what you're going to say.
Well, there is a role that a tour that I'm just hoping is good. I would love to see Ernest directing you in this project.
And talk to me about it.
Oh.
It's on Golden Pond.
Oh, you don't mind saying that?
No.
I think your view of Ethel Fair, of the wife and on Golden Pond, I would love to see you do that now. Oh my goodness.
Thank you.
Would the two of you go on the road together?
No. Who? Ernest, what?
Would the two of you go on the road together?
No, not me. No, I've done on Golden Pond, and I was very bad. Yes, I was very bad. I didn't get it. Ernest and I've talked about this. He wrote On Golden Pond, won the Academy Award for the film version, and I didn't. I'm not
Where
right
did you
for
do it? What did you get?
a small theater in was it Virginia or North Carolina, down that way. I really had trouble with it. I didn't. I don't have that dark side. I mean, Ernest. Going back to the movie, what's his name?
Henry Fonda.
Henry Fonda was really a curmudgeon. I mean, was really got into that dark. It has to be there. Has to be there. Especially for Ethel to play off that, and I couldn't get there. I couldn't get there. So no,
did Ernest come and see you?
What?
Did Ernest come and see you do it?
No.
Oh.
Thankfully, no. That's before we knew each other. Man, when I try to do, it just becomes just blank. I don't know. I don't know what. I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about seeing Lesley Ann Warren play Ethel Thayer On Golden Pond. I'm going to be there opening night. I don't care where it is. If you open in Hong Kong,
I'll go too.
But there may be a national tour, right? You're okay talking about that?
Well, I know he would like to do that. Yeah, and so we've been talking, and it's very exciting for me to consider it for sure.
I hope that works.
And also the way he talks about it is very compelling to me, because he talks about her very differently than she's been played, and much really closer to who I am actually.
Yeah, well, he's got a wonderful. His basic idea about it, it's just old couple, right?
Yeah.
Richard,
And it's a great play.
His idea is that the wife and he must still have a romance, must still have a sex life,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just so. I mean, because that's it's just it's great.
So cute.
Well, I want to go back to the slap where Lesley slapped you earlier. How many takes did you do?
Where? Was that in Family Band?
In Family Band.
Oh, did I actually slap you?
I don't. No, you didn't.
I don't think I did.
I think I just went like that. You know what? Yeah. I don't even remember you doing that. Isn't that funny?
I do. I remember that you were sitting. See, he was seated, right? And I'm standing. Is that right? He was in the wheelbarrow or something, or I don't know, something. But I do remember it. But I don't think I actually slapped you. That would be very hard for me to do.
I don't know. It would. I think it's okay. I mean, yeah.
Was there ever talk of the two of you doing more films together?
Well, my deal was for 3, Lesley, and I don't know, was for 3
I think
films.
my deal was for 3 as well, but I think the Family Band did not do well. It didn't,
right.
So that and the whole zeitgeist of what was going on in movie making had changed radically.
Well, and with Happiest Millionaire, they forgot to put fantasy in it. Mary Poppins had the cartoon characters drawn in. Happiest Millionaire didn't have that, and it was the next one right after Mary Poppins, and I think Tommy Steele was so.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, talk about someone stealing a movie. I thought Tommy Steele is such a magnetic. As a teenager, he was a rock and roller, I guess, in the UK, and he was the butler, and they did songs for him and made the butler's part much bigger, and he was just so magnetic, and boy, I wanted to be like Tommy Steele. And but I think that type of period musicals, they thought because
it lost its charm at that time. When they were, Bob Rafelson was directing, and there was 5 easy pieces, and it was a very different mindset coming into filmmaking, and I understand, and it's so great. I was so thrilled when Rob Marshall came back with Chicago and made it current again, made musicals current again. They've gone through, many, many years of being tremendously popular and then not, and then coming back, and so.
Oh, that's interesting. That's what you feel brought them back, Chicago? Is that's the?
I think that it brought back a younger audience.
I see. Yeah.
That was willing to go on the ride of people breaking into song because of the way he did it.
Yeah.
He made it such an integral part of the dramatic story, you know. And I
Yes.
think it opened the door again for a lot of, you know, projects to include music and dance.
Yeah.
In a new way, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So now I know I'm loving listening to the two of you talk. We do have another clip. We have more clips. Do you want to go with more clips, Lesley, or
whatever you like?
Yes.
Whatever you want.
Because Chuck has done some amazing work. Chuck, let's do the last dance montage that you put together. Okay, this is the last dance.
Last chance for love. So let's dance, let's dance, the last dance, oh, let's dance, the last dance tonight.
For what?
Me too.
Look, I am tired of being treated this way. What have I done to you? And I am fed up with being talked about.
Well,
have you forgotten you have a child? She's Leon's child. Shit!
You gotta laugh like crack.
how can you possibly know what I'm blinded by?
You want them dead? You want them disabled? You want them injured? You want them maimed?
I mean, things you do for your kids.
Hello, Lily. Claude's here.
I think my doctor's making a pass at me.
I want sex all the time. I wrote the book on sex. I'm a prisoner of it.
Oh, I'm being blackmailed, all right. But I did what I'm being blackmailed for.
No, your freedom is within my gift. You want me as much as I want you.
Things wouldn't change between you and me.
You gotta stop that.
I can't.
Leave me! What is more important to you? Is God or my good name?
The truth?
You want to know where Daddy is? He's at a motel. It's between here and Dallas. That's where they are, Mother.
Stop it.
What? It's the truth. And you just sat there in that stupid wheelchair and let it happen.
You unloaded Dow Chemical in my mailbox without batting an eye.
We're protecting our investment.
You got an answer for everything, don't you, young lady? Come on. Oh, thank you. Good girl.
Wow. You've worked with everybody. I mean, have you ever played a nun?
Yes. It was a costume. It was in a movie called Twin Falls, Idaho, and my costume was a nun's costume, but never actually played a nun.
Because Chuck and I were talking about this. I said you have played every end of the spectrum, but I remember in the 70s when, again, you're playing all these characters on the other end of the spectrum, and then once again every year Cinderella is being shown. Was it difficult trying to change your image when this was being shown, or was that an issue at all for you?
it was more of an issue for my ex-husband. he had some bee in his bonnet around changing my image. I didn't have that. I didn't feel it. I didn't have it, because I literally went from 110 The Shade, where I played sort of the town flirt, had that great number that was, so wonderfully choreographed by Agnes de Mille, to playing Cinderella. So right there at the very beginning of my career was this incredible dichotomy of characters, and so I didn't feel in any way typecast, but he decided that, that would be a good idea. And I was 21 years old and was intimidated and didn't have my own voice yet. And so I sort of went along with it. As a matter of fact, he was the one that cut my hair all off, and when I came back to Disney to do the family band, they were furious at him, not me, because they wanted my long hair and they wanted that, it was a Western, and, he gave me this, twiggy haircut, and they wouldn't allow him into Disneyland.
Was it all wigs in the movies? Wasn't it all wigs that you were wearing, or no?
Yes, because he had cut my hair off.
I see.
Wow. It was a fall. It was one of those falls that kind of attach here.
Yeah.
But they were mad. They were really mad. But he made it a problem in my head. I never would have gone there, but again, really quickly, I went from doing a season on Mission Impossible, where I got to do very many varied characters, to playing Michael Caine's girlfriend in Harry and Walter Go to New York and sing bad opera. It was a very funny character. So again, I feel like sort of destiny or life or whatever took care of me, in that I was able to utilize, all the different facets that I like to bring to my work, and not be pigeonholed and not be typecast.
Lesley Ann, so many times people have said to me that I was great in Cinderella.
Really? Oh, that's interesting.
Because it was Stuart Damon.
Yes.
Yeah. And I had done an industrial show with him, so I knew from the soap operas, right? He was from General Hospital.
Yeah. General Hospital.
And so like about 15 years ago, I just started saying, thank you. Yeah, it was really wonderful. I just don't say that it wasn't me anymore, which is so bad. But
that's so funny. Poor Stuart.
So my question is, who do they think? What are some roles, or who do they confuse you with? Who are you confused?
Oh, I used to get Susan Sarandon's Pretty Baby fan.
Oh, maybe.
They asked me to sign it. I think we've grown differently as we've aged. We've sort of aged very, very differently, and we don't have that. But she's probably the same age. But when we were, I don't remember when that was. It was probably the early '80s, maybe. There was a similarity that people picked up on, and I have something in my office that she was in Rome doing something, and some tour bus went by, and they were yelling and everything, and she says in this interview, they must just think I'm Lesley Ann Warren. So there was that time when we definitely sort of crossed, over, but that doesn't happen, and it hasn't happened for a long time, and it doesn't really happen anymore, And when you asked about have there been things that I haven't gotten? Absolutely. Are you kidding? Any actor will say, there are many things that I haven't gotten.
Well, don't go anywhere for a moment. I do have a message from our sponsor today. I'm going to play this for a moment, then I'm going to come back to both of you. Sumatsuki is responsible for bringing our show to you today. So we have a message from her, and then we'll be right back.
Hi everyone, Sumatsuki. I am the proud sponsor of today's program. Wasn't it awesome? You too can sponsor Richard Skipper Celebrates, or simply show him some support by pressing the little like button right here on YouTube. And also join me for my brand new show, This Broad's Way, September 25th, October 23rd, and November 20th at Pangea here in New York. Richard and Lesley, I throw it back to you. Lesley, I adore you. Thank you for everything you've given to us.
And that gives me a perfect segue to John Davidson's new club, Club Sandwich.
No, I felt
No?
I felt like
I
I
can
was
take
plugging
this.
before because
I'm
I
gonna
was
take it.
with Lesley Ann and me. Right.
No, but Club Sandwich is in Sandwich, New Hampshire. Lesley Ann Warren, have you thought about doing a cabaret show?
I've thought about it. That's about as far as I get. I mean, I thought about it on and off for years because people keep asking me about it, but I don't know. You never know. But at this time, it's not on my list of things to do. But
I would love to be there.
I mean, I compiled a list of songs. I met with, musical directors, but I never can sort of get myself up there to do it. So
There is a nakedness to it.
Yeah.
When I first started playing Vegas and club, I felt, what's the role? What is the? Give me a role, and I can work on that role. What is the role of Lesley Ann Warren? What's the role of John Davidson? So I actually made a list of things that was the character of John Davidson. And when you first start out, you why would anybody want to see me? But I created a character called Smiley Face John Davidson, and I played that character. I felt that. Can I ask you about Geraldine Page?
Yeah.
From Happiest Millionaire. She played my mother in the show, and I don't remember scenes that you had with her. Did you work with her in the? I should.
Yes. I did. I mean, they were more group scenes where I would sort of confront her. I was angry at whatever she was, that sort of thing.
I thought she was crazy. I thought she was on an insane level of living. Am I wrong, or did I just not understand? And I thought it helped us. I thought she was insane.
No.
It can't be.
No, but I didn't know her, but when I was 16, or 17, I guess, 17 when I got into the Actors Studio, and Lee Strasberg was directing The Three Sisters with Kim Stanley, Geraldine Page, and Shirley Knight. Please, unbelievable.
I've worked with Shirley Knight, right?
Oh yeah, me too. I loved her. But he invited me to come and watch rehearsals because I don't know why he did, but he did, and he had a fondness for me, and I sat quietly in the theater, and I was absolutely blown away at these women. I mean, they were all supreme artists. I mean, and she isn't crazy. She wasn't crazy. She was unique, and came at things from her own sort of perspective, which was so just so specific to her. And
yes,
she
was so into the character that it was.
She was.
It was
always was. I mean, and she lived in another place in her, but not crazy. But she just lived in this sort of. It's what made her work so unpredictable and so magical to me.
That's what I'm trying to say. She lived in another place. Yeah.
Yeah, but it wasn't. And she shared with me that she was really insecure about the singing. That when she had never sung, and she had to sing, and she was really nervous and insecure about it.
Yeah.
But she was so deep into.
Yes.
Whatever it was she was playing, and it could look like she wasn't all there, but but she was. She was just in her own world.
She was in her own little corner.
She was in her own little corner. Yeah, yeah. But I thought, oh my God, I just thought she was
magic,
unbelievable.
Wow.
I mean, in everything she'd ever done, she was incredible. In my
opinion.
Yeah.
Wow. Brilliant actress. Just an absolutely brilliant actress.
Brilliant. And all of them, all three of them. Oh my God. Kim Stanley. Oh my God. Shirley Knight.
Yeah.
And I got to be friends with Shirley later in life, and that was just.
Is she gone now?
Yeah.
Yes.
She
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
Yeah. How do you feel about all the people that we've worked with? Of course, I'm older than you. I'm going to be 80 in December. But all the people who are no longer here, I just can't even.
I can't grasp it. I can't wrap my head around it.
Yeah.
I can't, when they do the in memoriam.
Yeah.
I've worked with, 90%, 80% of the people that are. It's a horrible feeling. It's just a horrible feeling. It's just.
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
For me.
That's why I'm doing this club. Is that my favorite thing to do is to sing with my guitar, and I'm saying I'm 80. The runway's getting shorter. I've always wanted to do this, and I feel the home stretch. I feel the pressure to, Dylan Thomas, do not go gentle into that good night. Rage against the dying of the light. I feel anxious and not that I'm afraid of dying. I'm not religious at all. I don't. You just die. In my mind, you just die. But I just I'm having trouble trying to fit it all in the lack of time that I have.
I understand what you're saying, absolutely.
Yeah.
I totally understand it. And I think anybody that's conscious would understand what you're saying. I mean,
Anyway, Richard, you are doing incredible shows, sir.
Well, thank you, John. And speaking of the end, we are at the end.
Don't say that.
No. First of all, thank you both so much.
Thanks for including me.
Warren, you are always worth celebrating. Happy belated birthday. I am so thrilled that you said yes when I reached out to you. And John, thank you for joining us and sticking around today. Don't go anywhere for a moment. I want to thank everyone who joined us today. I know that you could have been anywhere else for the past hour. The fact that you chose to spend it for us, I don't take lightly. So thank you for being here. If you did enjoy today's show, if it was your first time here, please subscribe to Richard Skipper Celebrates right here on YouTube. Hit the like button if you did like the show. Leave a comment and share it with your friends. It's all about building an audience and spread the word around. I also end every show by telling everyone to go out and do something nice for somebody else without expecting anything in return. Go to your Facebook friends list, and the seventh name that pops up, reach out with a phone call. Not an email message, not a text message.
Why the seventh?
Because I just pull a number out of the head. It's a 7 day. Just reach out with a phone call and let that person know what they mean to you. It could be the 6 if you want to call the 6 number. That's fine too. Just reach out to anybody. Call 6 people. Just let them know what they mean to you. Because, as a dear friend of mine says, we're all in this together, but we're not in the same boat. But if you're going to go out in a boat, make sure that you bring a skipper along. Chuck Pennington, thank you for everything you do to make these shows special. I'm going to leave the screen. And John, I'm going to let you have a few words, and then I'm going to kick you off the screen so that Lesley Ann Warren can have the final word today. Anything, Lesley, that we talked about today that you want to build upon? Anything that we didn't talk about that you wish that we had? Or just any message that you want to put out to anyone watching today? And everyone, please go see Sue Matsuki's show if you can. Keep live theater going. We need it. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. I'll just say before Lesley that I am so glad I'm a part of celebrating this great lady, and I think she's better than ever. And I think your major role is ahead of you. Even though you've done all this stuff, oh man, I think because you like to dig deep and to play it and to tell the story, I think the best is yet to come. Thanks for including me. I love you.
Love you. Love you. I just would love to thank Richard and Chuck for making this such a special, beautiful celebration. And I was so thrilled that John was a part of it. And, I feel emotional because I loved those years with him and Disney. And it still means so much to me. I cry, as you can see from all my clips. Anyway, have a beautiful day, everybody. And take good care of yourselves and the people you love. And God bless.